make it your own? Do you follow your heart, girl? This moment is your home. Do you see love all around you? And let compassion fill your soul, and feeling all your sensation.
I promise I put on my deodorant this morning, y'all. So like, yeah, everybody's back as far as they can possibly get.
Create our freedom. Freedom. Rock with the baby. Rock with the baby. Yeah, 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 yeah. Freedom. Rock with the baby.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you love to suffer?
Do you love to suffer?
Are you comfortable with pain?
Are you comfortable with pain?
Well, try living in the flow.
Are you living in the flow?
In the state of well-being.
In the state of well-being.
Don't you worry about tomorrow.
Don't you worry about tomorrow.
Stay in the now.
But just stay in the now.
All is good if you can see it.
All is good if you can see it.
It all works out somehow.
It all works out somehow.
So our thoughts create our freedom. Freedom.
Anybody in the room that wants some freedom?
Rock with me, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Freedom.
Rock with me, baby. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. I'm Earl Purdy. And I seen talking about planning last week, scared some people half to death.
I didn't plan to be here.
It's all perfect in this moment.
Intuition guide you.
Does your intuition guide you?
Lay awake at night.
Or do you lay awake at night?
Do you believe in the power?
Do you believe in the power?
Because you know it's your birthright.
Because you know it's your birthright.
In your moments of confusion,
In your moments of confusion,
you can't find the way.
and you can't find a way.
There's an answer deep inside you.
There's a feeling deep inside you
Back in harmony.
that'll bring you back into
So our
harmony.
thoughts create our freedom. Freedom.
Rock with me, baby.
Rock with me, baby.
I say,
Yeah, yeah. Freedom.
rock with me, baby. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. I love music. Feels so good to my soul. I want freedom. I love freedom. You are innocent and sinless and guiltless and powerful. You are entitled to miracles. You are entitled to miracles. Rock with me, baby. Freedom. Rock with me, baby. You are entitled to miracles. You are entitled to happiness. I am so grateful in this moment. I thank my Creator for His gifts to me. I thank my Creator for His gifts to me. I thank my Creator for His gifts to me. I thank my Creator for His gifts to me. I thank my Creator for His gifts to me. And you know what? We need to do the guidelines for the course. We need to do the rules for the Course in Miracles. Would you look around the room and just acknowledge the people that's in the room with you right now? Would you acknowledge them? Give them some applause. I need not believe the ideas. I need not listen to the rules. Believe the ideas. If you know the words, say it with me. I need not accept the ideas. I need not accept the ideas. I need not accept the ideas. But guess what? And none of this will matter whether you accept it or welcome it or not. None of this will matter. whether you believe it or not. None of this will matter, no. It's the use, because the use will give it meaning and show me that the ideas are. If you use it, all of you online sending all those heart emojis. I got a great big heart on. Y'all are really awesome. I need not accept the ideas. I don't have to welcome them. I need not welcome the ideas. I need not do what? Welcome the ideas. So you don't have to welcome in the ideas of the Course in Miracles. Some of these ideas I'm going to actively resist. Some of the ideas I'm going to actively resist. Some of the ideas I'm going to actively resist. Guess what? None of this will matter. Resisting it doesn't matter. Not believing it doesn't matter. If it's the truth, it doesn't matter. None of this will matter. No. Why? Because their use will give it meaning. And the using it, will give it meaning and show me that the ideas are true. If I use it, I'll learn that it really works. If I actually apply it, I will see that it works. Show me that the ideas are true. Show me that the ideas are true. Ask your higher self right now. Show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit. If you're here for the first time, or if you're here for the 900th time and wonder why the hell you're even here, I want you to know that some of these ideas I'm going to find hard to believe. Some of these ideas I'm going to find hard to believe. Some of these ideas I'm going to find hard to believe. Oh yeah, Guess what? Some of these ideas are gonna seem quite startling. Some of these ideas are gonna seem quite startling. I am not asked to judge the ideas at all. I am not asked to judge the ideas at all. I am not asked to judge the ideas at all. Oh. And guess what? None of this will matter. None of this will matter, whether you accept it or not. None of this will matter. Guess what? Because the use will give it meaning. I say the use will give it meaning and show me that the ideas are true. This is right from the workbook. All these ideas are directly from a Course in Miracles workbook. They just set to music. Come on and show me that the ideas. Ask yourself to show you. Ask Spirit to show you. Ask your divine self to show you. Show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Show me that the ideas are true. Show me that the ideas are true. Show me, Spirit, that the ideas are true. Show me, Spirit, that the ideas are true. Universe, show me that the ideas are true. Greater, higher self, show me that the ideas are true. I want to know that the ideas are true. I want to hear these and know these ideas are true. Now, I would like to ask for you all to show me the friendliest faces you can imagine. You don't know, y'all some scary folk from standing up here sometimes. I'm serious. You'd be amazed. So just every now and then, just every now and then. I know we're about to hear the thing that the part of us that doesn't want us to be happy is absolutely convinced that we shouldn't hear, called the ego. I know that you may be coming here today with all the new stories that you're telling yourself to keep yourself from having peace right now. We all have our stories. You were actors in this cosmic drama called your life. You're the star. Everything revolves around you, right?
Yeah.
Everything. So I'm going to cover a lesson today. Also, I want to welcome those of you on Facebook Live. I really appreciate you showing up. Don't forget to comment and to share and to like the video. And if I can, I will also try to answer. We have brothers and sisters from all over the world that watch us. And the Course in Miracles says that everybody in your experience
You okay?
Oh, I love it. Keep going.
We have several new people online and in here.
Oh, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I love your resistance. It was great. You know, a lot of us know each other. We can act like it. You know, it's okay. Yeah, so I want to ask those of you online to share the video. And that extends its reach on Facebook. Plus, there may be some other people that might need to hear today's lesson in the Course in Miracles, which is going to be lesson 70 in the workbook. If you have your Course in Miracles book, got a couple of loaner copies up here in case you want to follow along. I would invite you to start your own personal study of A Course in Miracles. I guarantee you that listening to me or any other speaker alone is not going to actualize what it's teaching. You have to give it some attention and study if you really want to get the benefits. And today's lesson is called My Salvation Comes From Me, which is the same as saying my happiness comes from me, my joy comes from me, that my freedom comes from me, my love and peace comes from who?
Me.
Me, right. No, it doesn't come from me. It comes from you. No, it comes from you. If you were to change, I'd be happy. If you were different, I'd be happy. You know that's the rule of unhappiness, right?
Yes.
The rule of total unhappiness at all times is to live your life as if everything else needs to be different, and then you'll be happy.
If you don't tell what needs to be different.
Yeah. And you're going to tell everybody what needs to be different, and if they do it, then you'll be happy. It's the most ridiculous idea when it comes to happiness that the human mind has ever thought of, but it is the most popular, beyond a doubt. If any of you were to probably tell me anything that you're feeling less than happiness about right now, I bet you I could say back to you that you're telling me if this were different, you'd be happy. If they were different, you'd be happy. If this circumstance were different, you'd be happy. So it's called My Happiness. So I'm going to give you the modern language version by substituting some of the Course in Miracles definitions of these words. It's called My Salvation Comes From Me, which is my happiness comes from me. I'm going to go through the paragraph, pow, and then hit on the main point that we need to remember. It says all temptation is nothing but some form of the basic temptation not to believe the idea. So what is temptation? Temptation is me being tempted to believe anything other than my happiness comes from me. Some people are diligently looking for a relationship to do it. He or she is out there. As soon as I meet them, then I'm going to be happy. Most people are looking for money. They're telling themselves, if I had money, more money than I have now, I'd be happy. So what is temptation? Well, temptation would be me being tempted to believe anything other than my happiness comes from within me. Now, why doesn't that tend to excite people? Notice there was no cheers. Okay, the reason why that doesn't excite us is because I believe it's because we think we've tried and been unsuccessful. Like from the time we were children, we've been trying to do the thing and come up with the things that's going to make us happy. We're going to make ourselves happy, and it hasn't happened. So when we are told, well, I'm sorry, your happiness isn't really going to come from you, that I can understand that doesn't exactly make people jump up and down. So since I haven't been able to pull it off, you must. Okay? And it says salvation, which is happiness, seems to come from anywhere except from you. But so too does your guilt or fear or anger seem to come from everybody. In other words, I'm mad because of what you've done. So even my anger seems like it's coming from somewhere ultimately other than me. If you were different, I wouldn't be mad. My mama was different, I wouldn't be mad. If my mate were different, if my boss had done something, if the people that I'm working with in my contract had been different, then I would be, then I'd be happy, right?
That's right.
That's right. So the Course in Miracles says, you see neither guilt nor your happiness or innocence as in your own mind and nowhere else. Most people do not see their happiness as being in their own thinking and nowhere else. And it says, when you realize that all guilt, which the Course in Miracles says, all forms of pain is coming from some level of unconscious guilt or fear. That's where all pain is coming from. The other thing is that people don't know that they're perceiving what's in their own minds. So everything you're perceiving is really something that's in your own mind. So if I'm feeling guilty, it's really coming from a thought that's in my own mind. If I tell myself I'm going to feel guilty if I eat meat because I'm a vegetarian, my guilt is going to come from the thoughts I have about that in my mind, not from eating the meat. So guilt is really coming from the meaning that you're giving to everything, or your anger is coming from the meaning that you're giving it. And this is especially helpful if you were to take a situation in your life and apply what I'm talking about today to that person or situation. It would be easier to stay conscious. If we can make it personal, the Course in Miracles says you have to apply the truth specifically before you get to the point that you can apply it generally. So it's more important to take a truth and apply it to a personal situation you're dealing with. In other words, it's for me to say I love all of you, it's really, how true is that? The truth is, if I'm going to start practicing love, I should really start specifically, especially with those who are in my personal circle, the ones that I'm in personal relationship with. It's easy to say I love everybody, but if I'm really going to practice it, then I need to practice it in my specific situations, and then eventually I'll be able to do it to everybody. So I'm trying to work up to y'all. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I love everybody. You know that's not true. You may want to love everybody. You may have the goal of loving everybody. But the truth is, the people who are closest to you, you don't feel love for, it's hard for me to believe you feel it for strangers. Especially if it's the person you see as being your personal partner in some way. To say that, I'm with you in a partnership and I am not able to love you, but yet I'm going to say I love everybody. Mm-hmm. Well, didn't that include you? Doesn't everybody include my partner? So that's a lie right there. So as I say I love everybody and I'm leaving anybody out, I just told a lie. Mm-hmm. Right? So the Course in Miracles says, when you realize that all guilt is solely an invention of your mind, what your anger, your guilt, your fear is what? It's an invention of your mind. You'll also realize that your guilt and your innocence, which is your salvation, must be in the same place. Where? Your mind. And then how are you saved in understanding this? That first paragraph said everything. You could just stop at the first paragraph, actually. If you tell me anything that's causing your pain right now, except your own thinking, then you're giving in to temptation. You don't realize that all your anger and guilt, he says, that's an invention of your mind. And so the guilt and the upset that you feel, as well as the happiness that you're going to feel, is also in your own mind. So my peace is going to be in my own mind, and my pain is also in my own mind. Any questions or comments online or in the room about that first paragraph? About the first paragraph. Uh-huh.
So being a master of being able to attract insanity into my life, being a master of being able to attract insanity into my life, I'm in a situation where I'm not right there. Like I can't say I love everybody. I can't say that, that.
Please speak louder.
I can't say that what I have attracted, I'm trying to understand my responsibility in it. And I'm also trying to understand, because a lot of illegal stuff went on, what my responsibility around that is, since, I don't see myself involved in that. I see myself, I guess you could say, there's a part of me that wants to see myself as a victim, and I'm trying to see myself as the creator. And I'm trying to understand them.
Okay. Well, the first thing, I always try to answer questions from something that the Course in Miracles has said. Okay. First of all, you're assuming that we always assume we know what our own best interest is. Right. So therefore we think whatever we're going through somehow or another isn't serving us. So the truth is, whatever it is you think you're going through right now actually is serving the evolution of your soul and your spiritual growth. That's number one, whether it looked like you created it or not. The second thing you want to keep in mind based on this is it says my peace about this as well as my conflict about this is going on in my mind. Right? So what I do have control over is the internal dialogue that I'm giving myself about the situation that I'm in. That is what you do have total control over. So if you were to concentrate more on giving yourself a new way of looking at the situation that you're in, which is in the Course in Miracles teachings, and if you were to tell yourself those things every time you're tempted to tell yourself what the voice in your head is telling you, and if you were to stay present in this moment, like right now, in this moment, you're in a room with other brothers and sisters who are focusing on love and peace and healing themselves. So first of all, I need to express gratitude for the moment I'm in right now. I need to be 100% present where I am right now. And then I need to tell myself I'm curious about what's going to happen in this situation. Because your ego is trying to project fear about what might happen in the situation. And the truth is, you don't have any idea how it's going to turn out, really, for sure, at all. So the only thing you have any real control over is the way you choose to look at it. And that's what it's telling us today. The way that I'm feeling isn't coming from the situation. The way that I'm feeling is coming from what is coming from me. So the guilt and anger that I feel about the situation is in my own mind, nowhere else. And the once I realize that the peace that I'm looking for has nothing to do with the outcome of the physical situation, the peace that I'm looking for is in my mind. If I choose to start using a new way of looking at it, then I would have peace in this situation. Then when I was confronted in the physical world with this situation, then I would have more peace, and therefore I could hear the guidance of my own inner voice, the voice for God inside of me, that would be telling me exactly what to do in this situation that would allow me to have more peace. So if you notice, I didn't get off into what the story is of what you're experiencing. But you know why? Because I guarantee you, as soon as this solved, you'll come up with something else. Because we all do it. We all be willing to admit we all do it. That as soon as you have, tell me the last, I bet you right now there's something in your life you wish were different and you'd be happy. Every one of y'all. Okay? And then think of how many times you said that. If I just get this job, if I just get this house, if I just, Earl, I'm sick, if I could just do better with my, you know that when your blessings have come and you have received the answer, there is a part of your mind that immediately comes up with the next thing that needs to be different in order for you to be happy. Do you know that waking up spiritually means that you are a person who watches your thoughts?
That's right.
We used to watching everybody else's thoughts. But what we don't do is watch ours. And so the Course in Miracles and all truth texts are saying the most unpopular thing you can say to a human being. The answer is within you. So I gave up 37 years ago expecting people to jump up and down when I shared what the Course in Miracles or any truth book is teaching. Because there literally is a part of us that doesn't want to hear what I'm talking about. The Course in Miracles says the ego is always looking for you to give it an answer that has to do with what someone else has to do to make you happy. So it would be much greater excitement if I said, you were going to meet that person who was going to make you happy. And I'm going to tell you where to go get that job that's going to give you $1 million. And now I'm going to tell you where you need to move. See, then the ego is like, what? Where? Tell me. Right? But I'm not saying that. So the Course has already told me, with the part of me that wants to keep me separate from God, the part of me that wants to keep me separate from love, is always not going to want to hear anything that's going to tell me where the answer to the problem is really located, because I don't love myself at the level that I should, so therefore I believe I need to suffer. Now, the good thing about suffering is this. It's the fastest way to enlightenment.
God, I should be saved.
Well, that's why you're sitting here now. You see what I'm saying? You think about it, that's why you're sitting in the class. Because you suffered enough in some area. You reached your limit. It's difficult to teach people who have not reached their limit.
That's right.
People who have not reached their limit do not do anything to change anything. But the people who have got, okay, this is the last relationship, I'm going to be out on the ledge of a building. This is it. And I am not going to be out on another ledge of a building. You know what I'm saying? This is the last job that I'm going to want to kill myself before I get up in the morning and go to the job. You have to reach your limit. And so the next paragraph gives us another way of looking at it, right? And also, I have to remember this. Earl, your life is going to match your own enthusiasm about it. Okay? I talk to many people who want to attract new friends and want to attract new relationships, and their personality sucks. Nobody in their right mind would be attracted to them. They're dead, they're lifeless, they don't have any energy, they're not friendly, they don't, yet they're going, why am I not being chosen? Look in the mirror. Because sometimes you think you're looking more pleasant than you are. And you'd be shocked at the expression on your face. You know, I'm at the party, no one's coming to talk to you. Well, you're not inviting. And then you leave the party and go, that wasn't a good party. Well, did you extend to anybody? Did you walk up to anybody and say, hey, what's your name? I'm glad to be here. What do you think about this party? I'm so glad, even though it makes me mad sometimes, I'm so glad I finally at least know where the problem lies. You know what I'm saying? I'm so much a better friend and a partner than I've ever been in my life. I'm a joy to be with now. Really, because how can I not be? I take 100% responsibility for my experience. I'm not looking for anybody else to make me happy. I don't blame other people. I'm easy. But people who want to blame, who don't want to be responsible, they're not going to be attracted to me. They'd be mad at me all the time because I would never give in to their manipulations. I know that my happiness doesn't come from them, so they can't guilt trip me into doing something because they're unhappy about it. So they need somebody else that can guilt trip into doing what they want them to do. So they're going to look for somebody that blames just like them. And guess what? You're in the perfect place. Earth is the perfect place if you want to work past blame issues. So the Course says the seeming cause of accepting today's ideal, which is what? My salvation, my happiness comes from what? Me. Then it says means that nothing outside yourself can save you. Nothing outside yourself can give you peace. Nothing outside yourself can save you. Nothing outside yourself can give you peace. But it also means, and this is the cool part, he says it also means that nothing outside yourself can hurt you.
That's right.
It also means nothing outside yourself can disturb your peace. What does it mean, nothing outside myself can hurt me? I've seen people who were quadriplegic who were happier than people who have the full use of their bodies. I've seen people who have a Superman. What's his name? Christopher Reeves. He was an inspiration to millions of people because he was more peaceful and loving, only having the use of his head, than most human beings who have full use of all their body. Then they're the ones that are walking around depressed. There are people who would be so happy to be able to do what you're doing today, you wouldn't even believe it. But your ego has you upset because you didn't get a good evaluation on your job. So the Course is, so what does that mean that nothing outside of me can hurt me? Well, if it's the way that I'm looking at it that's determining how I feel about it, it really isn't anything outside of me hurting me. That's why he could be a quadriplegic and still be peaceful. He wasn't responding like he was hurt. His body was injured. He wasn't.
That's right.
See, that's the difference. If you think you are your clothes, then you will freak out when your dress gets torn. You are not your body. What you are is not your physical body. You have a physical body, but you're not your physical body. And the biggest shock that you're going to have when you go through your transition called death is to see you still exist. But without the communication device that you have to communicate with those who also think they are bodies. So that's going to another level. I'm not going to talk about that today. We're still trying to get our utility bill paid. Okay, now, we think that that's important, right? Right?
Right.
Right. I admit, if you have a physical health issue, that is really more of a challenge. Because pain is such a powerful thing to go through to make you think you can possibly be the innocent and invulnerable spiritual being that you are. Why? I'm hurting. I couldn't possibly be this invulnerability. So most people are unhappy about things that don't affect them physically. which really shows them that it's all in their mind. But if it's something physical, it's more, I admit, it's more of a challenge to look at it differently. So I'm going to tell you something. This will give you a little tip. What is the thing that we are told that we should substitute for every thought that upsets us? The Course in Miracles says we should substitute a thought of gratitude. Every time you think something isn't going the way you want it to go, the Course says, why don't you focus on something you're grateful for? Why don't you think about something you actually are glad about? I wish I could, but this voice inside my head is not doing it. Okay, the voice inside your head is only telling you what you're telling it to tell you. Or you could just ignore it. I know you think I'm not enough. I know I got this voice that tells me it's like my guilt's outside of myself, my happiness outside of myself. So what? That's the voice. It does that. But the Course says nothing outside you can hurt you, nothing outside you can disturb your peace, nothing outside you can upset you in any way. Today's idea, your happiness comes from you, places you in charge of the universe. Where you belong because of what you are. You are in charge of your perception of the universe. This is not a role that can be partially accepted. I am going to claim that I'm in charge of the way that I'm seeing things. Mm-hmm. And I'm also going to accept that I can't partially be responsible for how I'm seeing things. And I must surely begin to see that accepting that I'm the one that's in charge of how I'm seeing things is my salvation, is my happiness. Any questions or comments about the second paragraph?
Several online comments
Cool.
about the value of nothing outside of me can hurt me. And we have a couple of conversations that are going on with people who have experienced hurt this week. And so really resonating with nothing outside of me can hurt me.
Good, good. I'm glad that nothing outside of me can hurt me. And I'm also glad I don't beat myself up when I think something outside of me has hurt me. Mm-hmm. Because you're afraid something's going to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen. You're being afraid of something doesn't cause it to happen. You're being afraid of something happening doesn't cause it to happen. Just because you're afraid something bad might happen to you, it does not cause something bad to happen to you. Mm-hmm. Also, you are not completely in control of everything that happens to you. There is a higher being that will overrule you. And so everything you want, you are not going to receive because it wouldn't be good for you. So just because you want something doesn't mean you're going to have it. And when you start to trust your higher self, then you will be grateful when it doesn't happen because you'll know it was for your own best interest. So you still won't be disappointed. But I'm going to tell you again. See, one of the things that the ego has done, the part of us that doesn't know the truth, what it's done is this. We get into metaphysics, new thought, and personal growth. All right. Don't forget in the Course in Miracles class, at least if nothing else happens, you'll have a good nap. Okay. It may be the first time all week that you got a moment's sleep where you felt some peace. So that's okay. You can go to sleep if you like. That's not an unusual response to a Course in Miracles. Why? Because I'm not telling you what outside yourself needs to change in order for you to be happy. I said that at the very beginning of the class. And the Course has already said it's going to really take what? You have reached your limit. See, the only plan that's ever failed in your life was yours. It's the only plan that's ever failed has been yours, separate from your Creator. So I'm at the point where I'm going, thank you. I'm so glad it hasn't. So this wakes me up. This wakes me up because I'm listening to so much stuff every day in the world that does not give me any peace. I'm so glad to hear you all are not responsible for my happiness, because if I don't see you as being responsible for my happiness, I'm not going to resent you. I'm not going to be angry at you. Did you hear what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So what does the world tell you? The world tells you if you look good enough, that's all you need. And that really doesn't pay off when you're over 50, right? So once you get over 50, you start to judge your appearance, unless you're very aware. So all of a sudden, that whole thing about your looks is going to get it for you, that begins to lose its appeal. I'm shocked if anybody under 30 ever comes to a truth class. Really. Because they're usually at that level of consciousness where their body will tend to get them the attention that they want. But as you get older, you realize that you want people in your life that have more depth than that. Mm-hmm. You want people in your life who would love you and who you are. So you change your whole value system about how you're going to operate. And you also know that the Holy Spirit, your higher self, knows exactly who would be the perfect match for you and would be 10,000 times better than Match.com, even though you may still go on Match.com as a symbolic gesture to show you're willing to have a relationship. So you start doing everything in the world as a symbolic gesture. Yeah, I went and applied for that job as a symbolic gesture. Yes, I went to the doctor and did what the doctor said as a symbolic gesture to show that I'm willing to be healed. So you still look like you're doing things in the world, but you have an entirely different attitude behind why you're doing it that allows spirit to take over. Because an evolving spiritual being is someone who's trying to put their life in the hands of their greater self, God. A still asleep person is still just looking for information that allows them to try to handle everything on their own. Right? That's why personal growth classes that have to do with teaching you how to handle everything yourself tend to have more people than a spiritually based class that's about putting a person in touch with God. My ego loves to try to do it on its own. And a person that's about to wake up is a person that goes, I don't want to do another doggone thing on my own, by myself. So the Course then tells us that it may not ever be clear to you why the recognition that guilt and unhappiness is in your own mind entails the realization that your happiness is in your own mind. Well, that's because your Creator wouldn't have put the remedy to the sickness where the remedy isn't and where it can't help. He said that's the way our mind works. We look for the remedy where the remedy isn't located. And then the Course in Miracles says that your Creator wants you to be healed, so your Creator has kept the source of your healing and happiness where the need for the healing is. So I need to be healed. I got a headache. You tell me, go into my medicine cabinet, and then there's an Advil. So where the healing that you're looking for in your life is located is where the Creator put it, and the Creator put it in your own mind. It's not outside. The medicine cabinet is in you. And so is the answer. And so you tried to do just the opposite. You made every attempt, however distorted and fantastic it might be, to separate the healing from the sickness from which the healing was intended. And so you tried to keep your sickness, you tried to keep your unhappiness. What are you talking about? There's another part of me that is trying to separate the answer from the problem. The problem is in me. I think the problem is in you. So that separates the answer from the problem. And the Course says you've tried to do just the opposite. You made what? Every attempt, however what, distorted and fantastic it might be, to separate my happiness from my unhappiness for which it was intended. In other words, he says, your purpose was to ensure that healing didn't occur, that your happiness does not occur, that your abundance does not occur. What? I don't believe that. I don't believe it's my purpose to make sure that my happiness does not occur. Oh, yes, you do. Remember, you are the one that does just the opposite of everything you're being told in order to be happy. See, if you walk out of this door today and you still tell yourself, if this were different, I'd be happy. If everybody around me changed and acted out my script, I'd be happy. You are still separating your happiness from the problem. You're still keeping the problem going. So it would be you that would be keeping your unhappiness going, Earl. But it's kind of lonely at first when you start to take total responsibility for yourself. It's not like you get a lot of people jumping up and down, you know, and that's okay, because the only people that leave your life are those who will still blame. Yeah. So they just wouldn't be around you blaming you anymore. They'd be blaming somebody else. And so when you practice the truth, you start to get the peace that is promising. If for no other reason, then your social circle changes to more responsible people, which is going to make you feel better. So your purpose was to ensure that happiness didn't occur, the Course in Miracles says, and God's purpose was to ensure that your happiness does happen. Any questions or comments about that? Yes. About this, yeah.
I feel like the reason my purpose is to keep happiness conditional at the least, or very distant eternally, is that when God finds me, not me. Obviously, these pronouns are cumbersome because they need to be redefined. Whatever sense of self is there finds that sense of self that has stolen the life of oneness away from oneness. And I'm also happy. Then I'll be doubly guilty. And that...
You'll be doubly guilty, why?
Well, truth being oneness.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I perceive myself, I reinforce the reality of duality. And the death, my murder of oneness. Of course, it didn't work. And the reason I don't want to be happy, the reason guilt is the foundation of the sense of self, is because if I was not guilty and I was happy, and I still believed I had separated from oneness, thus destroying oneness, when that oneness came for me, the overwhelming terror of that keeps me out of my mind. And this is an issue that almost never gets addressed in...
That sounded more like a statement than a question, so I don't really know what your question is.
Is how do you overcome, let's just say, in your specific life, the desire to stay unhappy?
You suffer to the point that you no longer are willing to be unhappy. You will continue to do whatever it is that's making you unhappy until you reach your limit of it, and you can't really destroy oneness. All you can do is destroy your own peace, and you can only do that temporarily. So everything that you think you've done, you really haven't done. You can't destroy oneness. You can feel guilty as long as you like. In the meantime, there's a part of your mind that knows that you're innocent, and that part of your mind is trying to correct the part of your mind that thinks you aren't, and it's going to happen. It has already happened. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to be right about the way you have deduced things to be, or do you really want to be happy? And if you really don't want to be happy right now, time will allow you to be unhappy out of its allowance of your freedom to be however you want to be, as long as you want to. Because the only person that's being affected by your thoughts, really, ultimately, is you. So you can change your mind. You can choose to think differently. You can choose to start using different perspectives whenever you want to. And like the Course in Miracles or any truth book, what they're doing is giving you new interpretations and ways to look at things that if you use them consistently, just like you're using the old way you're looking at things, you'll eventually start to see things in a brand new way. So it really boils down to, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? Do I really want to continue to support the old way I've looked at things, or am I really willing to accept what he's saying today? However I'm feeling is coming from my thoughts. It's coming from what I'm telling myself. So as soon as you tell yourself something different, rather than analyzing it, then you'll start to get the result that you're looking at. And then you have to also ask, why am I so invested in looking at it the way I already look at it? To the point that I even think I could destroy oneness. Or even think that I should feel guilty even about trying to be happy. That lets you know that there's a part of your mind that just wants to feel guilty. There's a part of you that wants to punish you at some level. Because there's another way of looking at it. Because think about it, we grew up in a culture that's rooted in guilt and sin. We are in a culture that we are constantly told that if you're a good person, you feel guilty about everything that you do.
Yeah.
And guilt is a request for punishment. Now, it's not the same as saying, what do you mean don't feel guilty? It sounds like you're asking me to be a sociopath. I can just do anything and not feel guilty about it. No, that's a mistake. When you hurt somebody or attempt to, that's a mistake. And a mistake is not as attractive as feeling guilty. Everybody said they feel guilty. They know that's nothing new. Oh, I feel guilty because I did this. And I feel guilty because I smoked a cigarette. Next time you see them, they got 3 hanging out their mouth. You know, so we already know that feeling guilty and saying you feel guilty doesn't change a doggone thing about nothing. Not really. But if you say to yourself, it's a mistake for me to smoke, your mind automatically does not like it. Because we like to be right. We are programmed as creatures that it's all about you being right about the way you feel and the way you see things, right? So if I tell you that And this is, I'm just using this neutrally because there are people that smoke 900,000 packages of cigarettes and never got cancer. So it's nothing's cut and dry in the world. There's no cut and dry connection of if you do this, this is going to happen. Because there's always somebody that can show you it didn't happen. You know, it didn't happen to them when it happened. So everything in the world is neutral. You are ultimately allowing yourself to have whatever experience you want to have for your own soul growth. Some people, for their soul growth, don't ask for a cure for the disease that they're going through. Some people, for their soul growth, they get a cure in their perception. See, the Course in Miracles is saying, Earl, you don't know your own best interest. You don't even see the big picture. You think what you think is the way things are. Then that's your first error, is that you believe everything you've been taught since you got here. And so now you bought into the whole illusion. You believe that happiness is what the world tells you it is. You think your morality should be based on the world, what the world. You think your relationship with God is what the world taught you it was when you were a kid. If you went to, like I was a fundamentalist Baptist growing up, and so I learned all about God punishes in heaven and hell, and all of that stuff. The Course in Miracles came especially for me, because I feel like it uses Christian terminology to kind of correct the perception of people who grew up in fear-based religions and beliefs. That's why I don't think the Course in Miracles is for everybody. I think the Course in Miracles are for those people who need to heal their relationship with the idea of God. I think the Course in Miracles is for those of us who are basically atheists. An atheist, according to the Course in Miracles, is just somebody that thinks they're alone. It's not somebody that says, I don't believe in God. It says an atheist is someone who thinks they are alone. They think they're on their own. That they got to figure out everything for themselves. They got to do everything themselves. He said, that's an atheist. And then he says the other one is the martyr. He says, so most of us are either atheists or martyrs. And what is a martyr? He says, well, a martyr is somebody that thinks that God demands sacrifice and suffering. So they think the more that they suffer and the more that they sacrifice, then that's what's going to get them to the promised land. That's what's going to give them love. So a person who believes that love is sacrifice, giving up what they want, always not letting themselves have the things that they really want, then they choose partners who always make them have to seem like they have to give up what they want in order to be with them. Or the partner is always telling them, you got to be different in order for me to be happy. That's a person who wants to sacrifice in a relationship. So I think the Course in Miracles is correcting unconscious core beliefs that we got that are just blocking our relationship to love and spirit and truth. And I tell people all the time, the Course in Miracles has something in it that's guaranteed to offend everyone. Even whether you think you're a new thought, higher consciousness, new age, or whether you think you're the most fundamental regular person, the Course in Miracles will bug both of us. You know, because it says the thing that's such a trip that I didn't want to face. It says, brother, let me tell you something. You got one problem. You think you created yourself and you have no relationship with your creator within you at a conscious level. That's where all your problems come from. And then if I'm a new thought person, a new age person that had a lot of fear around any type of Christianity or heaven and hell, then as soon as I hear anything about a God, go, whoop, there's a man in the sky that's going to really get me. Because that was the core belief I got as a child. So as you continue to go deeper and deeper into your inner spiritual work, do you know what's going to happen? You're going to be confronted with the earliest core beliefs that you got when you came here. And those core beliefs are still driving you. Why is it that there are so many people that come to New Age and New Thought classes that most of the time they're still trying to live their life according to the values and morality that they claim they're so New Age about? That they don't even, I'm not even really in that. I'm so advanced right now, I'm not even the person that believes what I was taught in religion as I was growing up. But you'll watch every one of them, when they do their relationships, they're talking about they feel guilty or fearful or sinful about how they're doing it. Their sexuality, they still got a lot of guilt and hang-ups about it. Their relationships, they're still doing it the way the world taught them to do it. So you can't judge yourself by your old thought system and honestly evaluate how you are growing now. You can't use the way you used to think in order to judge your progress. But that's what we do. And as far as duality, let me answer that question about duality. Duality just means you're thinking two different things that are opposite. You say, I'm innocent, you say I'm guilty. You say I'm a loving person, you say I'm an angry person. You say I'm rich, it's a child of God, and then the next minute you go, oh, I have so much lack. Right? So all duality is that you're thinking two different things and you're going back and forth between the two. How do you get rid of duality? Make a doggone decision between the two and then just use one thought system. The end of duality. So as far as I'm concerned, now I'm choosing to believe that I'm innocent. Now I'm choosing to believe that I'm free. Now I'm choosing to believe I'm not alone. Now I'm choosing to believe that God is guiding me. Now, do I still have the opposite thoughts come up? Yes, but they're not the ones that I'm going to use to guide me anymore. So I just go, oh, my thought of I'm a victim just came up. But I'm going to accept that I'm responsible for how I'm seeing this. No duality. It's no duality because I've made a decision. There's duality when you still haven't made up your mind about how innocent and beautiful and loved you are. And because you still see yourself as being innocent and guilty, lovable and not lovable, you see a world that has that in it. The world is nothing but a projection of what's going on inside of us. But what the Course says we do is we identify with the good person, and then the part of us that feels like it's not so good, we project that out, and then we call that the people in the world that's bugging us. That's our own denied lack of love for ourselves being projected out into the world. So it makes us think that we are not split. Oh, I am a good person. In this world that everybody's so cruel and so bad, how did I end up here? See, I'm completely in denial with my own subconscious anger, my resentment, the things that I went through as a child or maybe as a young adult that didn't go the way I wanted them to go. I am in denial about that because now I'm being positive. Okay, I'm a very positive person now. I only see things that are positive. Okay, so what I'm doing is going into total denial about every grievance I have within myself, with my parents, with my friends, with my teachers, that I have not been willing to take a look at. And now I'm telling myself, because I've been reading, yes, I really love myself completely. And then the rest of your mind, the rest of that iceberg is saying, let me show you what's your Titanic, baby.
Yeah.
Let me show you what's going on beneath the surface that you're not willing to own. And that's the guy you just had. That's the girl you just had. That's the job. That is your unconscious beliefs that's attracting you to these situations that are not satisfying. So what does the Course do? Well, the Course says, I'm going to do shadow work with you. I'm going to work with the beliefs that you have that you don't know that you have, that's bringing you the pain that you think somebody else is causing you. But Earl, you got to get off your lazy butt and do what you're being told and stop complaining. Dude, that's the way the Holy Spirit talked to me.
Yeah.
You know, he said, you're innocent, you're loved, you're lovable, but and I'm here to guide you, I'm here to help you with what the voice is saying, but let me tell you this also, you have to take responsibility for the way that you're experiencing and seeing things, and then don't you try to, it says, imagine a chalkboard, and you've erased the chalkboard that has all the negative thoughts and feelings about yourself, but you make one mistake. As soon as you do your study and you undo all that old way of looking at your thing, you go right back to the board and start writing again. You come back with the next thing in fantasy that you're going to do that's going to make you happy, instead of saying, my loving self, my true self, the part of me that knows I am connected to Source. You write on the blackboard for me. You present me with what it is that my life should be. And I'm going to learn how to show up and handle it. But that's not what the unconscious person does. What they do is erase the old belief and think that it's still up to them to come up with the next thing. Okay, then what is your next thing? Well, he says if it really is your next thing and it's really coming from spirit, you will know it by one simple thing. First of all, it will be an urge that inspires you. It will move you. You will feel excited about doing it. You will go, oh yeah, this is it. And it will be something you can do, and it will be something that you feel excited and enthusiastic about doing. Those wishes and desires that a person has that they have no enthusiasm about, they're just acting out of the conditioning and the programming that they've gotten from the world. If you say to me, I want a relationship, conditioning. I want a job, conditioning. I want to have some new friends. Why? Because there's no enthusiasm, there's no excitement, there's no, I'm fired up to do it. It's just the conditioning. I'm going to get a house, conditioning. I'm going to have a baby, conditioning. I'm going to get married, conditioning. I need to get promoted on my job, conditioning. I'm enthusiastic about having a baby. I love the idea of being a parent, spiritual guidance. I'm about to get married to the person that I see as being able to wake up together in a way that blows my mind. Spiritual guidance. So check out the stuff that you say with no enthusiasm. That's just your conditioning. That is not a desire that's coming from your soul or from your heart. It's easy to tell what's coming from God. It's an urge. You're moved. You're turned on. I never come here and phone a class in with you all. You don't ever see me come through that door and phone a class in. Because I am moved by God to do what I'm doing. I'm inspired to do what I'm doing. Now, everybody that comes, I can't be responsible for their reaction because I'm a messenger. And you all are reacting according to y'all's interpretation of what I'm saying. So I can't be responsible for that. So you can never be your authentic self as long as you're concerned how other people are going to react to what you're doing and being. You can forget that. You'll never be true to yourself if you go, I got to make sure I don't hurt anybody by anything I do in any kind of way. Everybody's going to be okay about that. That's still, in my mind, having guilt and fear. If you know you're right, all of y'all could tell me, Earl, we've all decided as a class that we're going to all take arsenic. And I can still go, I'm not. So just because you're the only one that feels a certain way doesn't mean you're wrong. And just because everybody else believes different from you doesn't mean you're wrong. And all you have to do is check out the result. How happy are these people that are telling you what to do? This person telling you how to have a relationship, when was the last time they had a date? This person is telling you what to do with your money. Are they the same one that's trying to get along? I find that most people try to give me advice about how to live my life are not living theirs in a way that's admirable. Why? Because they're trying to deflect and distract from themselves by putting it out on you. And that's why the Course in Miracles is saying that we've tried to do just the opposite. It's God's purpose to ensure that we don't. So what am I saying to you? I'm saying that when you give your life over to your higher self and you say, I want you to take over, then that means that it's going to start working on your mind. Right. It's going to start working on your thinking. It's going to be giving you new ways to look at things. Where you're going to probably think it's going to try to change everything in your outer world first. It doesn't. It changes everything in your inner world first. Why? I'll tell you why. So that when you do get the physical thing in the outer world, you would actually be able to enjoy it. Because you would have a state of mind that would allow you to appreciate what you're receiving. Rather than be one of these people that get the relationship, but your mind's so messed up, you sabotage it and it's out of here. Or you get the money, you get you win the lottery, and 3 years later you commit suicide. You know, because the truth is, the answer, my salvation, is in the way that I'm thinking. And I'm blessed to have a creator that is going to work with me to change that thinking. And my physical world is going to be a reflection of that new thinking. And knowing that I am innocent and going for my sinlessness and going for my guiltlessness, the Course in Miracles says is the most important thought you can have. The most important thought you can have is, I'm sinless, I'm guiltless, I'm innocent. Because what we got, especially in religion, was that we're just the opposite of that. That we were born in sin, that we were born flawed. Picture this. Your reality is a reflection of what you think of yourself, right? You're a little kid. You like the most open sponge that could ever be, right? Right? And somebody goes, you were born in sin. You're guilty. You could go to hell. God's son died for you. And by the way, 2,000 years before you were born. And then your mind goes, huh? And then somebody says to you, don't question. Did y'all hear that? Anybody relate to what I'm saying? And even if you're Jewish and didn't grow up with Jesus, you still got your guilt. It still very much can be a culture that's around guilt. And that's what the Course in Miracles is telling us, that the core belief is that we're not the innocent children of God that we are. And that your worst enemy is the part of your mind that tells you that you are guilty and you don't deserve to be happy. So if you're in a relationship with people that are constantly projecting on you, blaming you, angry at you, that's the same thing. Somebody that's angry at you all the time is someone that's trying to make you feel so guilty you will do what they want you to do. It's an obvious attempt to manipulate you to do what they want. Also, showing people how you're suffering by them all the time is the exact same thing. That's your own personal picture of crucifixion. I could make myself happy. You should be the one that's making me happy. So I'm looking sad around you all the time. Because see what you're doing to me? If you would act right, I'd be happy and I'd show you some real joy. But you all messed up. Look what I'm looking like. So I'm a witness to your guilt. So when you begin to wake up, you don't let anybody play those games with you. And it doesn't mean that you are not a compassionate person. You become a more compassionate person because you know that that person is giving themselves hell most of the time, all day long, every day. So you kind of feel compassionate. You go, wow, that person is so off from what's really true. They're projecting and blaming all of their happiness on everybody else and sadness. They're not aware that they're a powerful, innocent child of God. They don't even know their thoughts are creating their reality. They see themselves as a victim of everything. But God, I have compassion for them. I see their call for love. Because they're suffering. And they don't even know how they're causing it. So to hear that my happiness comes from me, that my innocence comes from me, that I don't have to live according to antiquated beliefs that I learned as a child and that everybody else is using to crucify themselves, hallelujah. Hallelujah. And you know what I want to do? I want to join with other people who know they got the programming, but they want to go beyond it. And they're sincere about going beyond it together because it's so much easier to do it together. Thank you for being here today. Would you acknowledge yourself, Holy Spirit? Acknowledge yourself, Holy Spirit. You awesome, 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 awesome beings. Okay, those of you online, thank you. Let's do the financial expression of appreciation. Thank you for supporting my full-time ministry and Unity Temple. You all are awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Those of you online, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and you'll be able to do that. Also, if you are interested in personal counseling from the Course in Miracles, and I can use my 37 years of working with it with you, and I'm also available for mentoring and coaching with the Course in Miracles or the Way of Mastery or A Course of Love. Go to my website. You can do one session with me, and I guarantee you, if you're serious about your path and you want to go deeper, but you want to avoid a lot of the pitfalls, then have a session with me, and I will show you many ways to do this material in a way that you won't hurt yourself, fool yourself, and you can move a lot faster. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's no need for you to try to figure this out by yourself. I'll say that again. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's nothing that your ego is going to try to do to sabotage you that it hasn't tried to do to everybody else that's ever studied this material or any other truth material. I've worked with literally thousands of people in 30 years. So take advantage of that so that you don't have to go through the pain by learning through somebody else's experience. You don't have to. And so go to my website. It explains everything about that. This music is John Christmas at johnChristmas.com, and it's free for downloading. So all this,
Garden Road,
and also Garden Road Records. Either one of them will take you to the site. All right. Are you? Is that cool? Now, before we finish up, right quick, who would be willing to say one thing they heard today that affected them that they would like to remember, that they would like to take away? My brother.
I'd just like to make a comment that I must allow myself to express it, flow through to me, and not judge what I think it. Judge the experience. Put a label on it. Put a good or bad label on it.
Yes.
And just allow it to be, because there's a higher purpose for me to go through this and express it that's way beyond my little personal world and my personal boo-hoos. So I must accept and just be neutral as I can. And even if I'm not neutral, even if I do jump to judgment, even if I do get cranky or crunchy or whatever, just allow it to take place. It was supposed to take place in all of it fine. He wants to show me stuff, and he can't show to me unless he brings me through it.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sama.
So I like what you said, like back to you can be right or you can be happy, and just in that moment when you were talking, I thought of the things in my life that I was like stressed about, and it's like amazing. You can just change your perspective like that, and instead of being stressed or sad about something, you can feel peace and happiness knowing that it's the right thing.
And one of the quickest ways to get to the peace and happiness when you're stressed is to allow your stress to let yourself feel what you feel. Take a breath. Ask for another way of looking at it. Don't repress or suppress. Feel your feelings.
Guilt does not change behavior.
Guilt does not change behavior. Y'all know that guilt doesn't change behavior. As a matter of fact, guilt is permission to do it again. You see, I already felt guilty about it, so now I can go back and do it again. Then I can feel guilty again. Then I can go back and do it again. But if you call it a mistake, because why? Because I want to be right. My mind doesn't like to make mistakes. So as soon as you call it a mistake, my mind wants to do something about it because I programmed my mind to not make mistakes my whole life. But if I feel guilty, I don't mean nothing. I'm going to do it again, probably. That's why I don't like to try to make people feel guilty. Because if you're doing something and I try to make you feel guilty, especially if it's something I don't want you to do again, then I know if I don't want you to do it again, that I need to not try to make you feel guilty, but make you feel innocent about sharing whatever it was you needed to share, because you're feeling guilty about something you've hidden anyway, or something you've done anyway. So if I can help you feel safe enough to communicate it, then you won't feel guilty, and then you'll stop doing it.
I have a couple of comments online. Kim says she's going to remember I cannot find happiness from outside of myself.
Okay.
And C is going to remember the iceberg and letting the healing happen.
Thank you. Thank you. I saw some more hands. It's good to say it back. Yes.
I love what you said. In fact, I'd love for you to say it again, just like exactly in your words. That temptation is...
Yeah, my one temptation is to believe that what is happening to me is being caused by anything other than what's going on in my mind.
Or that temptation, just feel, I don't know, the way that I interpreted it, I guess, was how it hit home.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, if I'm feeling tempted by anything, that's a reminder that I'm looking for happiness outside.
Exactly. That's exactly. And because to make a truth really mean something to you, you have to make it yours. So if you can take something you heard me say or the Course say, and then you can do what you just did, make it your own by saying it in a way that makes it make sense to you. Now it's inside of you. That's why I invite you to say one thing, because when you bring it back out of you, it's a part of you.
I particularly appreciate it. It says, today's idea places you in charge of the universe where you belong. But then it goes on to say, and this is not a role you can partially accept.
Yes.
You know, I think we tend to be in the place of, today I'm in charge, but not tomorrow.
That's right. Or I'm going to partially accept that I'm responsible for how I'm seeing things.
Right.
I'm responsible for how I'm seeing things over here. But over here, I have nothing to do with how I'm seeing this. So I'm in charge of my universe. I'm in charge of how I'm perceiving my world. And that's what's causing the way that I feel. Anybody else? I saw a few more hands somewhere.
Just if I'm tussling with guilt and happiness, make a decision.
Yeah, I need to make a, but the Course says, at least you can decide, let's say you're upset about something. He says, at least you can decide you don't like what you feel now. Okay, so I can go, I'm angry, I'm jealous, I'm insecure, I'm upset. I can go, okay, at least I can decide I don't like what I feel now. And then he says, what you do is you follow it up with, and so I hope I have been wrong. See, that's the part that he says we miss. You know, I don't want to be right about what's making me miserable. I don't want to be right when I say I could never have abundance and prosperity in my life. I don't want to be right when I say I'm lonely and I can't have a relationship. I don't want to be right about the things that make me feel bad that I'm telling myself. So you say, this is how I feel and I hope I'm wrong. And then you go, I want another way to look at it. Perhaps there's another way to look at it. What can I lose by asking? The other thing you do when you're upset and somebody's saying something to you that you're upsetting yourself about, you stop and you pause and you just take a breath for a minute. And then you ask, how should I respond to this? Just taking a minute to do that, you'll be shocked at what will come through you to say in that situation.
I have to read this because it's just hilarious. Kim says, I am in charge of how I see my Earl. Oh, I mean my world.
That's right. That's right. There are many different perceptions of me as there are people sitting in the room.
My favorite today was to replace a negative thought or a thought of, for me, like pain with gratitude.
That's right.
Gratitude.
That's right. That's right. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Yeah.
Demola says there's no partial subscription to any thought system. Total allegiance is necessary to produce consistency in the outcome.
That's
I
right.
choose love.
That's right. Did y'all remember how you overcome duality?
Pick one.
Pick one. And then stick to it even if you feel opposite to it. See, that's the thing that's important. I still may feel happy and unhappy, but I'm going to choose that my natural state would be one of love and peace and happiness. And the unhappiness, I'm told by the Course in Miracles to say, this is my call for happiness, this is my call for love. So I'm either feeling happy or a call for happiness. I'm either feeling peace or what I call conflict is my call for peace. I'm either feeling abundance or I feel lack. Well, if I feel lack, he says, see that as your call for abundance. So there still is no duality, because it's about your love and about abundance. There's an answer. That's what I want to say before you run out. Everything that you need in order to give yourself a new perception, to give yourself a new life, is in the material. You don't have to figure out what to say to yourself to start to get the new life. That would be another error. If y'all walked out of here and went, okay, I heard what he said, I got to do it differently, but you still try to do it on your own. You try to make up the thoughts. You try to, the Course is saying, no, it's already been done for you through wisdom texts, not just the Course in Miracles, any great wisdom text. So commit yourself to a path. Really now, no BS. Commit yourself to a path, and I guarantee you, in 90 days, you'll start to see a shift in your perception. There's no problem that you have that hasn't already been solved. There's no original problem. You're not that special. Okay? I love you. Thank you for coming. Let's acknowledge us, Holy Spirit. Y'all are awesome, and you deserve innocence, and you are sinless. Don't forget, y'all, hugs are available. I love hugs before you run out of here. Don't forget, Tuesday night on Facebook Live at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, I do the Way of Mastery. On Thursday nights at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, I do A Course of Love. So check out these classes. I love you. You all are awesome and juicy and cute.